What's up, Shift Shapers? Welcome to the Shaping the Shift podcast, a pod about change and uncertainty for dreamers, creatives, and folks who just want to get free. I'm your favorite Ride and Thrive, Thea Monyeé, and I am so happy that you're here. Let's get going. Because what is the purpose in you being a butterfly if you spend your entire life inside of a cocoon? Hey Shift Shapers, it's Thea Monyeé here. Just want to remind you of a couple of things. One, thanks to GoDaddy Design Services, we have a beautiful new website. We've always thought of our web home as a place for you all to connect and to learn about our latest offerings, the latest ways that you can be in community with us and each other. So please take a moment to go visit our website at www.theamonyeé.com and even sign up for the email list for more up-to-date information. Also, we want to remind you that liking, subscribing, reviews are all still so welcome. Sharing with friends and family is the way that we want this podcast to spread through the world. Our message of embracing change and of shifting into who we came to this planet to be. So anytime you can like or share, that is so greatly appreciated. Also, during these difficult times, we felt it was really important that we interrupt some of the negative media or negative information that you might be receiving on an ongoing basis with a little bit of joy. So we've created the Sacred Sunday text messaging. You can enjoy inspired messages from me and from episodes of the podcast by texting SACRED in all caps SACRED to 213-377-1827. Once you join, you will receive these joy-filled messages from us every Sunday as a way to just reclaim your joy in the midst of difficult social change. Once again, we are always filled with gratitude to serve you in this way, and we thank you for all the ways that you are helping us to spread joy throughout the world. Thank you. Enjoy the episode. Welcome, 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 everyone. I am so thrilled to record this episode, but more than that, to just share with you this exciting experimental version of Shaping the Shift that we are rolling out right now. And who knows? I mean, it may work. Y'all let us know if it works for you. Let us know if it doesn't work for you. What are the stings? What are the tickles? The pros and the cons, because we are a community and we want to make sure that we are always finding ways to get these conversations into the world that are easeful and joyful for both us who are creating them, but also for you who are receiving them. And so there's so much to talk about because the last season, we just allowed ourselves to free flow. The first few seasons, we were like machines. I mean, it was so amazingly effective and productive and beautiful, from our guests to the way we were in communication with our guests, to the growing audience, to the number of countries that we reached and people that we reached. I have zero regrets and nothing but gratitude for the way that the world and you all received Shaping the Shift. This infant podcast, baby podcast that just had this dream of helping people to feel inspired and empowered during times of change and transformation, which by now, if you haven't realized, is every day. Every day, not just when we're in a pandemic, not just when we're in a crisis, but every single day there is change and transformation. And being in our bodies enough and our spirits enough to be aware of those minute, small, incremental changes enough to be grateful and present and full and receiving is the goal. And Ebony, Janice, and I always talk about, you climb a mountain and you get to the top of the mountain in this journey that we're on called life or called self-actualization or self-realization. And you're up there and you're excited. You made it to the top of the mountain and then you're looking around at this beautiful scenery and this view. And then you turn and you see another mountain. And that's it. That's the journey. It's like there's always another mountain. There's a thing behind the thing behind the thing. And that's not a discouragement. That's an encouragement. That's just a reminder to be at ease with the changes, the deaths, the rebirths, the life, to learn how to sit in the cycles that you're in, sit in the seasons, be with them, ride the waves. We go to Toni Morrison's Song of Solomon. If I can surrender to the air, I can write it. Tara Brach talks about the waves, how the waves bring us back to remembering that we are an ocean, and just finding that place, even in the Kabbalion, in the law of rhythm, finding our place in the rhythm, how to ride the highs, how to ride the lows, how to balance things out or find harmony in those spaces, how to be with what is and not judge it. This is what all of this has been about. And so this last, I guess it was kind of a season of just allowing that for myself and for those of us who produce this podcast to only come to this mic when it felt necessary, urgent even in my spirit, and to trust many things, to trust myself with that, to trust you all to hold that, to trust the process, that things don't always have to stay the same, no matter how effective they may seem for a season. And so I feel excited about what you are about to embark on. You are about to enter into a series of podcast episodes. We're not thinking in terms of seasons anymore. We're thinking in terms of series, and how do we sit in a topic or a conversation over a period of time. And this first conversation is about the shape of love, or shaping love. Love, 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 love. This elusive, mysterious, multi-defined, ineffable, indescribable thing that we are all always either looking for, searching for, navigating, or actually just always surrounded by, whether or not we realize that. And this topic came to me for a number of reasons. I mean, it's pretty obvious. This is like the medicine that the world needs right now, for sure. But also, I just stumbled into, we don't stumble into, you know that, we're led into beautiful mini conversations with people in my life about love. And I kept catching myself in these moments and conversations with these people who are dear to me, like, oh, no, 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 stop. I want to record that. And my podcasters out there know that feeling, right? No, no, no. Crystal always stops us on Dim Black Mama. Stop talking right there. We got to put that on the podcast. There are these moments that kept coming up, and it made me realize, oh, this is a conversation that I want to have with Shaping the Shift, that I want to tease out a little longer. I want to be in the tender of it, as we talked about in the tender of transition. Like, I want to be in the in-between, between here and there, between defined and undefined, or redefining. I want to be somewhere between death and rebirth with these conversations and with this topic. And so here we are. We are offering you multiple episodes at once to chew on, digest, dive into as deeply as you would like to. I can tell you right now, I have re-listened to these conversations multiple times, and I can't get enough of them. They're like, they keep unearthing and keep birthing these new ideas, and they've really emboldened me to want to be in deeper relationship with love from one moment to the next. You'll meet my daughter, Talani. You're going to talk about love and language with my Mona. You're going to hear a beautifully intimate episode with me and my husband, Mark. There's just like so much here that I'm terrible, if you don't know me personally, at surprises, because I get so excited about the surprise that I tell the surprise before I can surprise the person. That's how awful I am with surprises. So I'm going to stop saying so much there about what this episode's about and let you all have experiences with them for yourselves. But I will say that what we're doing differently is we're also video recording these episodes. And so they are available on our YouTube. And we're thinking about ways that we can tap in and watch it together and have discussions. We really want the episodes in the series, each series, to be a deeper experience for all of us. I want to have a conversation with you all about these episodes. What are some things that stood out to you? So we'll probably have some type of Zoom meetup where we can just have open discussions about the shape of love and what that means to us, and what are some of your takeaways from the episodes, and then keep this conversation going in new ways, and also give you the opportunity to see visually what we were experiencing and our reactions in real time, and just add another dimension and form of media onto what's already a pretty full plate here. So I'm going to open off this series talking about the shape of love, because we are on Shaping the Shift, and we believe that things can be shaped and molded. And I had a couple other thoughts, like the series we have a title for, but this one stayed with me, The Shape of Love, because much like change, I feel like love is something that shape shifts day to day, depending on the need. Much like spirit or water, it can move and become pretty much anything it desires. And for us, we're co-creators on this planet. And so how are we taking responsibility for the way we decide to shape love in our everyday life? I was engaging in yoga practice a few days ago, and in the middle of this practice, Spirit said to me, "Nothing is real." And I said, "I know. I've read A Course in Miracles. I've done my studies. I get the illusions versus the reality." And Spirit said, "No, Thea, nothing is real." And I said, "I know." And Spirit said, "No, Thea, no thing is real." And that last one hit me because I knew that Spirit was talking about even my relationships. I've, in some ways, many ways, let go of quite a bit of material attachment. I mean, we never know how much we've actually let that go until we experience high losses. But I don't feel as defined by those things, or by my money or things like that, credit, as I used to. But that third, nothing is real, I immediately thought about my motherhood. I immediately thought about my marriage. I immediately thought about my friendships, because I thought about the people I've worked with, and cohorts and collectives and clients, and I would say a good 90%, if not more, of my daily effort goes into these spaces. And it makes me emotional just thinking about it, because it's so much of me. So much of me is my relationships with people. I've historically shaped that around the happiness of those people. Are they okay? Are they okay with me? How do they feel about me? Which is actually shaping it around me. But nevertheless, my worth and my value in these relationships always seem to come back to whether or not they liked me or were happy with me. And so there was a lot of efforting in this first part of my life to make sure that they were. I could not tolerate witnessing the suffering of those I cared about, because I felt like that was a reflection of my love not being good enough, or me not doing my job of keeping them happy well enough. I now understand that witnessing them suffering is a gift, because I get to witness them survive. Not just to survive, that's not even the word I want. To witness them ascend through that suffering, find out something about themselves, love themselves deeper, trust themselves deeper. And I get to watch all that happen if I can just tolerate for a few more moments the floundering and the humanness and the awkwardness. And even sometimes the expectation that I do save them. If I can just sit in that a little longer, I can watch that ascension. that rebirth. But still, like, I have an attachment to these relationships, a very strong one. And I immediately felt grief about the idea that none of that was real. And so I asked Spirit, I said, then why? Why do I do this? Why do I do any of this? Why do I get up and why do I do this podcast? Why do I write these books? Why do I talk to people at all? Like, what is the point? And Spirit said, your whole family will die. None of you will be here. Nobody will necessarily be thinking about you as a mother when there's no one to mother. You as a friend when there's no one to friend. What will remain will be love. That's all that will remain. The roles and the identity that is caught up in the actual mechanics of the relationship and the efforting. Nobody's going to know those details. I mean, they'll know I was a mother. They may even assume I was a good one, but they won't know these everyday details. They'll know I had friends, and maybe they'll even read about it in my journal or their journals. They'll know that. I mean, they'll know it intellectually, but all that will really remain is the love that I put into everything I did. That's what gets released into the world after I die. It makes me think about Nipsey Hussle, that being from LA and being from the areas that he had such great impact, and watching how his death released this love bomb that just the echo of it and the reverberating effects of it were felt everywhere. I mean, it was weird. Like, even if you weren't familiar with him, if you were out here, you suddenly felt his intention for us, for those in the communities that he grounded himself in and loved and supported. You felt it. You really felt it. Like, I completely believe. And his mother said at his funeral that now he's everywhere. And I look at how his work has been carried on because it transcended him in the form of love. Nothing is real, Thea. All that will remain is the love. Not how many shoes I was able to get him or how many errands I ran them on, but in the purchase of the shoes is there love. In the errands that I'm running is there love. In the conversations that I am holding is there love. In the moment of impatience, can there be a little bit more love? In the care of my plants, can there be more love? Because the plants will die. In everything I offer this world is there love. And I've had, since we last spoke, I've surrendered my license, and I remember my very first client, and I'll remember my very last client that I sat with, closing out this chapter of my life. I can't say that I did it perfectly. Being a therapist is hard. It's very hard. There's a lot of love and compassion, and there's also just the snares of human intimacy, difficulty with boundaries, knowing when to say what, feeling overly responsible. We have our own stuff with codependence. It's a balancing act from client to client. One client can praise you and love you. The other client can literally hate you. It's just weird. And when I was sitting back looking over my time, I started working with families in 2005. I started doing work as a therapist in 2009. And when I look over that time period, I can't say I got everything right. I don't even know if being a therapist was the right thing for me. I know that together, me and the folks that I had the pleasure of serving and sitting with and co-creating with and co-healing with, I know that together we did some beautiful things. I know that together we created magic. I know that beautiful things happen, but I've been thinking about that. Like, I don't know that necessarily happened because of my training as a therapist. I think that happened because we came into the room with an agreement for healing. And that can happen in a barbershop, in a beauty shop, at a gas station. If we would allow space for that in our society, it could happen anywhere at any moment. But when I think about it, I don't know if I did everything right or said everything right. Actually, I know I didn't. I know I didn't. I know that I was some people's cups of tea and some people I was absolutely not. And the only thing I'm really sure about, though, is that I loved. There were times I would show up for session and I had just wiped my tears, or I was in a depression myself, or I was really just struggling. I think for many mental health practitioners, COVID has been so intense because we also, as people, have never been through a pandemic, and yet the expectation that we know things and be things in the midst of this uncertainty was still there. We were still expected to do it, much like doctors and teachers. I mean, a lot of us we were just expected, and that was hard. I think we needed to be human during that time alongside everyone else. But it's kind of like being of service, you have to show up. And so in those moments when I would quickly wipe those tears or try to breathe and clear the slate for the person who was going to be sitting in front of me, I can only thank spirit and I can only thank love for showing up in the ways that I couldn't, because I know that I showed up wanting to be my best because I genuinely love people. I genuinely see people and I see their light. I see what they came here to be. And there's a part of me, maybe the Oya, that wants to just crack off anything layered on top of that light until we can see it. And I can be aggressive about that sometimes. I could be relentless. Sometimes I can be gentle. But at the end of the day, I just have to trust how I showed up because I know how I love and that I do love. And in the times that I didn't do that well, I have to love that part of me too. The shape of love is ever changing, in my opinion. But the most important thing isn't what shape does love take on, is the understanding and the knowledge that we are shaping it. We are defining it actively through our choices from one moment to the next. And an awareness of that, an awareness that that will be all that remains, is what we have shaped love into. Not even the thing we loved will remain. Just the love itself is just a powerful reminder that if we're living in a way that is too fast or too disoriented or too preoccupied to pay attention to whether or not love is in the thing that we're investing our time, energy, and body and blood and tears and so forth and so on into, then we are building things that will not remain, that will not outlive us, that will not disperse upon our death, that will not flow from our bodies into the bodies of those who will outlive us, and keep this immortal love alive and moving from one generation to the next, one world to the next, one day to the next. And so I can't tackle this subject all on my own. And so I've definitely tapped in some beautiful people to have this conversation with us. I adore the fact that we can come here and have these moments and have these conversations. And I would encourage you, as you are listening through this series, to definitely bring your journal, bring your pens, write out questions, because there will be opportunities for us to talk about this more. And I want you to just sit with, for this moment in this conversation, the awesome privilege it is to shape love every day and every interaction, to be less preoccupied with how love looks and more preoccupied with its existence, more aware of the fact that you co-create the way it would exist beyond our lifetime, the way it will exist when everything else has faded away. I know for some of us, the idea of mortality can be very difficult to process, but I found that it's an amazing barometer and teacher and support in staying present and mindful to the why. It's really kind of necessary to do love work, joy work in the midst of uncertainty, is to understand that everything is transient, that nothing will remain forever except the energy of love. So that's a lot to sit with. And I'm just like the warm-up act for the conversations that are coming. But I'm so thrilled to share them with you. I can't say that enough. We are excited about these offerings and want to continue to offer them to you. There's so many ways that you can support that through liking and sharing and reviewing and becoming a shift shaper through our web home for $9 a month. You know, we don't charge anything for this podcast. We want it to be a free offering to the world, but we also want it to be self-sustained through community. So if you can invest $9 a month into what you're about to hear and what you've heard so far, we would love that. We would absolutely love that. It feeds us as we feed you, and that feels very harmonious. And so I'm going to turn you over to binge the next few episodes. We'll chat a little bit at the closing, but have an adventure. Maybe your love that you're shaping will take on different forms, hopefully, with each episode. And we look forward to expanding and growing and loving with you. Until next time, Shift Shapers, I'm going to tell you like my mama always told me.
And if you learn to go with the change, as opposed to resisting the change, the reward is at the